There'd be a lot of poop in my pants. I've seen a 6-foot alligator go swinging through the air and slam into a tree.
These guys are the scientists of the supernatural, lecturers leaving lessons for inquiring laymen. They are applying the scientific method to a world that baffles science. They are the cryptids of the corn.
But who else has big black wings and red eyes?
Batman.
Oh, Mothman.
Oh yeah, Mothman.
A great white shark was stolen.
Oh, someone stole a shark?
I got stuff for you don't even know about.
She's a witch. She turned me into a newt.
Who knows? Anything could be possible. Anything could be possible.
It's really big abduction vibes.
Holy moly.
It sounds like you were abducted.
And it just stood up. I mean, it just like kept going and going. And she goes, what the?
You're flying over the ocean on a gentle summer's day. Everything's going perfectly. You look out the window and see the ocean below you swaying gently with the blue-green welcomeness of the warmth of it. As you look back forward, you see a strange cloud start to form. As you're flying, it appears that you're in some kind of a tunnel, and the cloud around you turns to a faint green color. And as you watch, it seems the skin of this cloud has an electrical feel to it. As you pass through the cloud, strange things seem to be in the shadows. But you emerge unharmed. And when you land, you realize you've returned 3 hours early. All of your instruments don't agree with this, but everyone on the ground says you just left. I am the great and powerful Mr. E.
And I'm J-Clone42.
And today, boy oh boy, are we starting the long uphill battle.
Now, you guys have heard about it.
Oh gosh.
So it's here.
The biggest triangle of them all. The Bermuda Triangle Season 3 finale.
Bermuda.
Bahamas. Come on, pretty mama. I almost had that for the opener instead.
Yeah.
But it is highly copyrighted.
I thought you were about to read a poem or something.
No, that was all improv.
I know it was.
I had a little vision in my head of how I wanted to go.
No,
so this is one, like season finales, like we said last, on Monday, for any of our new people, season finales are always like super episodes, like at least 3-parters. We don't know. Obviously, we haven't recorded this one. We don't know how many parts it's going to be.
They just take forever.
There's
a lot of info.
Oh, gosh. There's so much.
Info dump incoming.
So I want to, up front, I just want to say thank you for everybody's support.
Yeah.
By the time this comes out, we should have hit 500,000 downloads.
Which is nuts.
It's insane. I remember I just had a post refresh on my Facebook saying thank you everybody for 10,000 downloads.
It's quite a bit.
And now we get that in
quite
like
a
couple days.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you guys.
So thank you. This is a moment to remember. We're nationally ranked. We're internationally ranked. It's a crazy experience. I'm doing this full time. Jay is hopefully going to come on at the end of this year or early next spring.
We'll see how it goes. As long as we keep getting subscribers and stuff. That was an odd sound.
Was that you?
Yeah, it was me.
Okay.
I will not do that again.
But
it sounded like
guys.
it was in our headphones.
It did.
Or,
I thought it was a glitch, and I was like, not another roadcaster down.
Nah, no. Don't say that.
Right before we get going. But no, so once again, if you're new or newish, these are super episodes. We try not to leave anything out. Some of this for the Bermuda Triangle is going to be really repetitive because the same story can kind of be spun different ways depending on which topic we're looking at.
Okay.
So you're going to hear the same names of a couple of these things pop up several times.
Okay.
Does that make sense so far?
Right, yeah.
I obviously did not include everything. Like, it's impossible. The Bermuda Triangle for hundreds of years has been
a lot of history.
Everything.
A lot of history.
I have solved the Bermuda Triangle, though.
Oh, so would that be revealed at the end?
The very end.
Okay.
It'll be the last thing we cover.
Okay. Sinkhole. Giant sinkhole.
No, it was funny, though. No, it came to me at like 1:30 in the morning on like day 4 of working on the script. It hit me like a ton of bricks, and I had to write it down like at the very end real fast
Ooh, okay.
because I figured it out.
Uh-oh.
I'm the best there ever was. The
Wait.
great and powerful mystery has
yeah, so-
solved the mystery.
I was going to say, you don't get the moniker of great and powerful for no reason of your own.
But we're just going to start nice and easy about the triangle itself. And this is kind of a weird thing. Before we even get into this, I want to say that it's weird how every place is a triangle, and it's because of the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
The Bermuda Triangle was the first, as far as I can tell, documented thing to being like, look, it's all this weirdness happens in a triangle.
Yeah, why the triangle shape?
We'll talk about the 3 places that the Bermuda Triangle falls in.
Okay.
That's what gives it its shape.
Gotcha.
Miami, Florida, and Bermuda are obviously 2 of the points, and we'll talk about the third one later.
Is the third one in that song too?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
I had to do it in my head.
Yeah. It's,
It is in that song. Did you know where Bermuda is?
I mean, it's just off the east coast of Florida, right?
Yeah, it's a lot more north than I knew it was, though.
Okay.
It's like almost, to me, for looking on the map, it's almost like level with like Daytona,
Okay.
just out in the ocean.
Yeah.
And it was just weird to me. Like, I never like kind of, I guess in my spatial awareness in my head, it was always much further south.
Like down in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's way far away from the Bahamas.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So it's not in that Central American, like, what's that little
The island
latitude?
It isn't. It isn't one of the part of the island chains. But anyways, the Bermuda Triangle, also known as the Devil's Triangle.
Mm.
It's loosely is defined as a region as a part of the North Atlantic Ocean, where aircraft, ships, and other strange disappearances occur. There's a lot of weird stuff. I don't know what episode we're getting into this, but ghost ships and phantom ships are 2 different things.
Ghost ships and phantom ships are 2 different things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ghost ships are way scarier and one happened like 2 weeks ago at the Bermuda Triangle that nobody's talked about.
Really?
Yeah. 2 weeks ago as of recording this.
Right.
But yeah, the idea of the area is uniquely prone to disappearances around the mid-20th century. But the most reputable sources dismiss this idea as any mystery there. So, like, most people are like, this isn't real. I'll tell you, this list, like, stuff goes missing in the ocean constantly, but it's the myriad of stuff that happens here.
Yeah, I know. You don't get the reputation, or it's not in everybody's, like, everyone knows when you say Bermuda Triangle kind of where it is, not what's going on, but they know, like, it's an anomalous spot of strange things going on there.
Anomalous phenomena.
Right.
So the earliest suggestion of an unusual disappearances in the Bermuda area appeared on September 17th, 1950. Articles published in the Miami Herald, which we're going to use the Miami Herald a lot because it's
probably the local, or closest.
I was going to say it's literally the newspaper that's in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, the biggest paper and the closest to it.
Miami Beach is in the Bermuda Triangle, just so everybody knows.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. Weird stuff happens there, not just frat parties.
A lot of weird stuff happens in Miami.
Miami's a weird town.
Are you in the city when the heat is on all night on the beach till the break of dawn?
It was picked up by the Miami Herald first, but 2 years later it was picked up by Fate magazine.
Fate.
So it's funny that like Fate is like a paranormal magazine.
Right.
Is that
We're
kind of
not
stuff.
affiliates of Fate. But
No, but it's weird that the Miami Herald kind of got it first.
Ain't it?
Ain't it odd? Don't okay. Too many songs already. We
Yeah.
have a lot to get through, Justin. Focus. So anyways, Fate magazine published "See Mystery at Our Back Door," a short article by George Sand. It's funny, his last name is literally Sand.
Well, he probably
I
moved-
think he's from the Bermuda Triangle.
No, okay.
He's literally a giant sandbar out there.
Yeah, George Sand.
Yeah, I know your facade, George.
But he's a good writer.
But anyways, he was covering the several planes that have been lost and ships, including the loss of Flight 19. Probably because he's the one that got him.
It was. Oh, you just spoiled the ending. It's a giant sandbar that's just alive, named George.
Ooh, that is one of the things.
Yeah, a living sandbar.
Shh, baby girl. We got like 7 more hours to go through.
George.
Anyway, so the famous loss of Flight 19, a group of 5 U.S. Navy gunmen, Avenger torpedo bombers on a training mission. Sand's article was the first to lay out the now familiar triangular area where the loss took place, as well as the first suggestion of supernatural elements to Flight 19 incident. The Flight 19 alone would have covered again in April 1962 issues of American Legion magazines. And its author, Alan W. Eric, but it's spelled very weird,
Okay.
wrote the flight leader had been heard saying, "We are entering white water. Nothing seems right. We don't know where we are. The water is green. No white, no green. He wrote that the officer was saying the Naval Board of Inquiry stated that the planes flew off to Mars.
Okay.
Flight 19, do you know about Flight 19?
I don't actually.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Like, we're going to do a very generalized covering of it
Yeah.
because it's a big story in itself. We could probably do an hour and a half on.
Flew to Mars though, eh?
That's all recorded. Like, that was the transcript of the pilots calling back to the base saying
They were on Mars.
we were in white water, no green, no white, no green.
What's that? I can understand, I guess.
Like, their whole atmosphere around them was changing colors rapidly.
Yeah, like a squid.
Ain't
it odd?
In 1964, Vincent Gartles wrote an article called The Deadly Bermuda Triangle in Pulp magazine. He says Flight 19 and other disappearances were part of a pattern of strange events in the region. The next year, Gibbles expanded the article into a book called Invisible Horizons.
Okay.
The other writers elaborated on Gibbles' idea that John William Spencer, that of Limbo of the Lost in 1969, reported basically the book called The Devil's Triangle. And many others are all keeping some sort of the same paranormal elements outlined by Eric.
I like how you're just saying all the names with this voice.
I've fully embraced. This is the end of season 3. I haven't been able to pronounce one name right, whether it's a Patreon member or whatever.
That's
I'm
true.
just making it. I'm putting it. They're getting like okay. So
Little
the
flair
triangle,
on it.
the triangle area. The Gibbles has explained that the article detailed the boundaries of the triangle, and I want to say this: the boundaries of the triangle are not hard boundaries. It's more like a big blob where the stuff occurs.
Right, yeah.
It's not stuck to the triangle itself.
Yeah, you
The
step
triangle is I know it's not like a big line where like no supernatural.
supernatural. Yeah,
There's nothing over here and over there's a kraken eating a plane.
exactly. But you're safe on this side of the line.
No, it's just like a generalized area to help explain, and it happens to be triangular shape through the 3 points.
Right.
So the dedicated boundaries of the triangle, given its indices as Miami, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda.
Aha. Okay, Puerto Rico.
Yeah. So Puerto Rico, as its own as the season 3 opener, has been a host of super strange events, including caves, the chupacabra, and bat squatch.
That's right. I forgot about that.
So that's why Puerto Rico is also special for this. There's actually a lot of the stuff we've covered that will come back up in this has been in Bermuda or the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, it's just been there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's just weird that how much, like, when you look at it small scale, it's just like, oh, it's just out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic
Right.
Ocean is huge. When you look at a big scale, you're like, oh, now all that stuff is in the Bermuda Triangle. How odd. It's like somebody knew. Huh. So subsequent writers did not necessarily follow his definition. Some writers gave it different boundaries, different variations of the triangle. The total area ranging from around 1.3 million square kilometers to 3.9 million square kilometers. Otherwise, 500,000 square miles to 1.5 million square miles.
Okay, so it's a big area.
Yeah, indeed, some writers even stretch. So get this.
Yeah.
Like I just said, the Bermuda Triangle has had several variations of how big it is.
Right.
One writer, I don't have his name in front of me, put it, some writers even stretch it as far as the Irish coast.
Okay, that's
Constantly the determination of what incidents occur inside the triangle depend on which writer you're looking at.
I think that may be part of another triangle if it's going all the way up to Ireland. That's pretty
It's called
far
the
away.
Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, exactly.
If we're just covering anything that happens in the northern Atlantic Ocean, the list would be forever.
Right, exactly.
Continents have disappeared.
Yeah, we'll call it the Bermuda rhombus.
All right, so I have what I'm going to call a quick list of the big stuff that's gone missing in the triangle.
Okay.
And like I said, we're going to retouch on some of this stuff several times.
When you say big, do you mean like enormous in size or like enormous in story? Like,
Enormous in story.
okay.
The famous stuff.
Gotcha.
This is not a complete list of everything that's ever gone missing in the Bermuda Triangle. This is the stuff, though, that made newspapers. This is the stuff that,
Right.
like I said, there's fishing boats that go missing almost every week in the Bermuda Triangle.
That's nuts.
Or, yeah, so...
Is there any stories of any like giant cruise ships? Because that would be also very nuts. There is?
Yes.
Okay, good. I can't
they
wait for that
just
one.
found it this year.
They found it?
Yeah,
Oh.
we'll get there.
Oh, okay.
Just don't ruin stuff anymore.
No, I mean, I
Keep
think
your
that's
mouth shut.
I think that's a good what's it called? Foreshadowing? Yeah. That's a good foreshadowing.
Yeah, and a whole empty cruise ship disappeared. It was gone for like 10 years and then popped back up, just like this year.
Right. So we'll save that one. We don't have to do that right now.
I gotta remember the movie, but anyways, that's for later. Disappearing stuff is the name of this section.
Okay.
So once again, for all of our new members, I kind of just give these like general titles for these little things. So far, this one is called General Information in Disappearing Stuff.
Okay.
And that first one, 1812, the Patriot. So this is the oldest one on my list. This is not the oldest one ever recorded.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a famous one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mostly because of the people involved.
Okay, gotcha.
The daughter of Aaron Burr,
Oh, the guy that
the third vice president of the United States, was on board the Patriot. So his daughter of Aaron Burr, the third
Right.
vice president of the United States, was on board the Patriot. A schooner that was in 1812 sailed from South Carolina to New York. The ship never arrived. Neither the ship nor its passengers nor its crew were ever found. America and England were still at war, and it was greatly speculated the schooner may have been mistaken as a blockade runner and attacked, but there was never records found to verify this scenario. No side ever came forward to say that was their fault.
Well, I mean, it might not have been, but
I personally don't think it was.
Yeah.
On this one, I think it was really a part of the mystery, and we'll get into why later. Like why this happens a lot
okay.
in this area. Like it just happens.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
And the
didn't
British, after the end of the war, took credit for everything.
what do you mean?
Everything that they did,
Uh-huh.
they took credit for. Every schooner sank. Everything defeated. Like
Oh, the British said like, yeah, we did that.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's very odd that the death of the third vice president ever's daughter, they didn't claim it.
Oh, they didn't claim that one.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
The British, after the end, nobody claimed it,
Right.
which is very, very odd. The British claimed everything else.
Yeah.
The SS, okay, Cotopax.
Okay.
I think I
didn't
said
sound
it right.
bad.
1925. The Cotopax is going to pop up like 6 times.
Cotopax.
A large freighter. Now let's just make sure I'm saying that right. Read the SS, the second one on the list.
Okay. A large freighter.
No, like how do you say the name?
Oh, Cotopaxi?
Cotopaxi? Cotopax?
Yeah.
Cotopaxi?
One or the other.
A large freighter, the U.S. Cotopaxi, disappeared in 1925, carrying a load of coal to Charleston, South Carolina. The moral of the story is don't go to South Carolina. The ship's destination was Cuba, but it never made it. The Cotopaxi sent a distress call before it disappeared. In January of 2020, a favorite diver's wreckage known as the Bear Wreck, located 35 miles south of St. Augustine, was identified as the Cotopax.
Oh, they found it?
Yeah, they called it the Bear Wreckage, but they've been diving it forever.
Right,
They
yeah.
just didn't know what it was.
Didn't know it was the, yeah.
The lost steam-powered freighter sunk in a tropical storm, allegedly. All 32 people on board perished. The ship was in shocking condition prior to setting sail. The maintenance was particularly non-existent, and there was no conditions so making the conditions even more dangerous. Many of the cargo hatches were either missing or broken. This meant a storm would have filled the cargo and washed and basically fill it with water very quick.
Yeah.
But we'll get back. There is more with the Cotopaxi.
Okay. I was going to say, though, how do they know, like, those things didn't go missing after it sank or something? I don't know.
We'll get there, baby bird.
All right.
Navy Squadron Flight 19, 1945, the very end of World War II.
You right? Yep.
The most famous disappearance by a long shot in the Bermuda Triangle is Flight 19. In 1945, five U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers out en route training mission vanished. 13 men rescue Marine aircrafts also disappeared without a trace. They sent people out and they disappeared too.
Oh, that's not good.
Over the years, it's been rumored that the captain of the routing training mission had personal problems, and the other pilots, being inexperienced, were combining factors. However, that doesn't explain the disappearance of the rescue aircraft as well.
Right.
Like, there's some stories that put it like, we'll get to Flight 19, but there's some stories that put it like the captain was having a lot of like personal problems with his marriage and stuff like that, and depression, and he flew them all into the water.
That's what the dude did with, what was his name? That guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne. Randy Rhoads, I think was his name. He got in a plane with a pilot that was having problems. It's just them two in it. And that guy, like, was swooping in and then wrecked the plane and killed him.
So keep in mind that would work if it was just him went missing.
Right, yeah.
His whole squadron is chocolate. Keep in mind these are Navy
Right, yeah.
bombers. Even if they're green,
Yeah.
they still made it to a lot of training to get to be Navy bombers
Right.
in World War II.
Yeah.
Keep in mind what bombers were doing in World War II.
Dropping bombs.
Yeah, a lot of them. I mean, just constant. So in my opinion, for them to say like he was having problems, so we flew them all into the ocean in a fog bank. I don't everybody has their own gauges. Everybody has their own instruments. You would tell that you're rapidly descending towards the ocean.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's if he had problems, like he may have just wanted.
He would have killed himself,
right.
but not everybody else. And then the other thing stacked on Flight 19 is the rescue crew disappeared after, like looking for them.
Now that's the really weird part. I mean, I can see a guy just being at the end of his rope, basically, and just, I'm taking this ship down. I don't care. Like, I'm taking everyone with me.
But they wouldn't follow him.
Oh, it wasn't. I thought everyone was on one plane.
No. It's a squadron of planes.
Oh, I thought it was like a squadron, like a platoon on one plane.
No.
That's
Five planes.
Planes went missing. Oh, that's a little bit different.
Five
okay.
bombers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Then you're right. You definitely wouldn't be following that guy into this.
I would see them follow him for a minute, being like, okay, we're getting really close to water.
Yeah.
We're not doing this.
Yeah.
The altimeter is reading at like 7 feet.
I'm getting wet.
There's water coming in the window.
My windshield wipers are on. I think we're getting close to the water, guys.
But anyway, but even if they did follow him into the bleak abyss of the ocean, it did not. The rescue planes wouldn't have followed the same fate.
Maybe they have.
They were really good at trailing him.
Yeah, exactly.
Right into the ocean.
They got like 3D like Google Glass projector like following their trail.
I got a lot of these to get through.
Dumb.
This is going to be such a long series.
Okay.
The BSSA Star Tiger aircraft, 1948. The British South American Airways craft Star Tiger took off from Libsyn, but returned due to issues with the engine. It took off again a few hours later, stopping to refuel in Arrows, where it stopped overnight due to the weather. The next day, the plane and its crew and passengers headed towards its destination in Bermuda in a windstorm. Several hours later, before reaching Bermuda, the Star Tiger disappeared without a trace. So just one of those more general,
Right, yeah. But I mean, documented.
It was fully fueled when it left.
Yep.
It was a windstorm that wasn't, crazy. So it's just odd.
Ain't it?
Odd.
Okay, no, you can't keep doing that.
I'm going to sing that song 8 times during this thing.
I know, because I know you like singing it, and then it's...
Garmin Cougar Jet, 1991.
Okay. Oh, okay.
One of the spookiest disappearances of the Bermuda Triangle happened in 1991. A pilot flying a Garner Cougar jet had just spoken to control tower as he was ascending to 29,000 feet when his plane just vanished. One moment his plane was on the radar, and the next it was gone. There were no blips showing or any kind of crusade of debris falling, no wreckage or any other types of debris were ever found. His plane had vanished in the blink of an eye. So this one is really weird because he was talking to them.
And then
he was talking to the radio tower. He was on radar.
Yeah.
And then everything disappeared.
All transmissions
it all stopped.
Ceased, yeah.
All right. Aircraft just fades out of radar. So the Genesis freighter, 1999. How does a 465-ton cargo ship just disappear? Well, in 1999, the freighter Genesis sailed in the port of Spain. The ship's destination was St. Vincent in the Caribbean islands. The cargo consists of slabs, bricks, and much-needed water.
Okay.
In this instance, the nearby sailing vessel picked up the ship's radio call for help. The freighter had problems with its bilge pump taking on accelerated amounts of water in its bilge and sending it back into the ocean. If it fails, the engine room would flood and the ship would sink. The crew may or may not have had time to abandon ship before this happens. Whatever happened after the call, the cargo ship was never heard from again. Like so many other vessels in the Bermuda Triangle, it just disappeared without a trace. So they were actively radioing for help. There was people out there looking for them. This is a monster cargo ship.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever seen one of them out in the ocean?
They're monstrous.
Yes.
So I fished behind them.
Oh, you do?
I have.
Oh, you have?
In Florida. We followed them out of the International Coastway and stuff like that where they deliver.
It's insane.
They're
moving floating buildings.
They're mountains.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bigger than any building anybody's ever been in.
A World Trade Center, maybe
like
building
a skyscraper.
Size. Yeah, exactly, skyscraper. Because we went the first time I ever seen one in the open ocean. I was just I was in Florida and we did a deep sea fishing charter. The guy was just, took us out, I don't know how many miles out off the coast, far enough to where you can't see the coast anymore, pretty far out there. And then I seen off in the distance like this ship. And I was like, okay, that's pretty big. And we kept going out further and getting a little closer to it. And it was kind of coming towards us. When you got to the side of it, and we weren't even close to it, but we were close enough to see it. I was in shock, or not in shock, in awe of just how massive. It's amazing those even float.
So imagine that disappearing as it's radioing for help as people are looking for it.
That's okay. Yeah,
there's a reason the Bermuda Triangle is one of these heavy hitters.
Oh yeah, it's got a reputation for a reason.
Yeah, I mean it earned it. Believe me.
And what I like about both these so far too, all these so far, is both of them. It's not just locked into sea like vessels, like air. It's airplanes.
Oh, it's everything.
It's everything.
Don't worry, I have disappearances from land for you.
Oh, okay.
Stuff just gets carried off in the ocean like by a giant tentacle.
Oh, I was gonna say, is it like your grandma when she wanted to go into the ocean and
she just drove her scooter in?
That's yeah.
No.
When some things go missing, it's a little more explainable.
It's an old lady driving into electric scooter into the ocean after she was told not to.
Yeah.
All right, it's 16 foot. So let's get it serious because these are recent ones that are sad.
Okay.
Get serious.
I know. I try to keep it light.
16-foot fishing vessel, 2003. Frank and Ronnie Lino just bought a brand new 16-foot fishing vessel on Wednesday afternoon, June 18, 2003. Decided to take it out for a day of fun. They love to go fishing, but on this beautiful day to test out their new boat. They set off the Baytown Beach Inlet, Florida, and were never heard from again. Both the couple and their new boat vanished. The next day, the couple failed to show up for their respective jobs. Coworkers, friends, and family feared the worst. It is early Friday morning that when the Coast Guard launched a rescue mission, the search covered over 35,000 square miles, ranging from Miami to Savannah, Georgia. No wreckage nor signs of the couple or the boat were ever found. I don't.
That's only 20 years ago.
Yeah, so I remember there was the one that I don't know if it's on this list later, where they didn't find them.
Right. Yeah.
Literally when we were down there, I can't remember. It was 2016 or 2017, to where a couple of young boys I guess the oldest kid was 18 and his brother was 16.
Yeah.
And these were kids that were out in there every day.
Right, yeah.
And they went missing, and then they found their boat overturned way out where it was not supposed to be. Hydrologists couldn't figure out how the boat got there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of
within
weird
the time frame of when they left or went
currents
missing
and stuff like that. It was going against the current and all. It was weird.
Okay.
It was not that's why they didn't find it for so long. It was where everybody said it couldn't be.
Yeah, it showed up where it wasn't supposed to.
And so there was a lot of weird, they never found those boys. So fishing boat, What's Left, in 2003. Fishing boat was tragically, ironically named the What's Left, was found capsized on the beach near Cape Canaveral in 2003. That's where I fish.
Nice.
It's New Smyrna Beach, is Cape Canaveral National Seashores.
Nice.
It's a tortoise preserve.
A tortoise preserve? Oh, those are the ones that had those tortoises you were talking about that are rare?
Yeah, that'll fish with you.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
So human remains were found on this boat, were those of the missing boat owners. Gary Lisk, 61, his fishing companion Neil, 47, and his son Neil Jr., 13, were found. The trio left for days of fishing trip would take them 65 miles south of Naples in the Gulf of Mexico. However, their wreckage was washed up 400 miles away from where they launched in the Atlantic Ocean. How the boat ended up in the ocean bluffs baffled authorities. They speculated the boat may have been caught in the Atlantic Gulf Stream and slowly moving current, that wraps around the U.S.
Right, yeah.
But this is another one of those ones that they just can't figure out.
It's hard to explain.
These guys were all dead in the boat. This one of the ones where their bodies were still there. They were in rough condition. It was only a couple days. There was a lot of mystery with this one. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know how to explain this. I'd rather have my family members' bodies back than wonder.
Right, yeah, because you at least know, they're not
stuck on an island. They're not out there,
Right, or, they didn't, at least they didn't drown or something, or, go overboard. You got closure with having the bodies
But
there.
this is, explaining the deaths and stuff like that, explaining how they ended up in the ocean, explaining all the,
part don't make sense.
They don't, Like, there's a lot wrong with this.
Right. But at least they're not missing, I guess.
Yeah, so that's kind of it's not a good thing, but it's not, it's one of the things that a lot of these stories don't have.
Right, yeah. Body.
Yeah, where they ended up.
Remains.
2004, 19-foot fishing vessel. 40-year-old fisherman enthusiast Glenn left Hudson, Florida in his 19-foot fishing boat at 4 a.m. on Sunday, March 23rd, 2004. He was scheduled to return that night. He did not return, but his boat was discovered 32 miles west of Emont Key, Florida. He's still missing. He was never found.
That's
His boat was not capsized. His boat was just floating there, only 30 miles from where he's supposed to be. Some people said he may have slipped and fell overboard, hit his head on the way down.
happens.
It happens. I mean, it's just there's a lot of going anything by yourself is very dangerous. Like I stopped going ice fishing by myself a long time ago because of stuff like this.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, if you
at least
fall,
if I die ice fishing, at least somebody's there to go back and say like, okay, he fell in the ice. Like
right, yeah. If you just wind up missing or you're just gone and you don't come back, yeah, there's a lot of mystery and it keeps people worried. I think I even shared a story. I don't know if it was on the regular show or Patreon about the guy up in Canada that someone had told me when he was staying up there. There was a guy that would cruise around. I mean, he was drinking, unfortunately, but they found his boat the next morning, just up on the shore, like way up on the shore. Like he had ran the boat ashore, like going full blast. But what then they ended up finding his body later. But they think he slipped and fell off the back of his boat and he didn't have a strap, on his hand because it was outboard motor. And so that boat just kept going full bore, and he fell off the back, and it was nighttime in cold water, and he probably just drowned, and his boat just kept going. So, I mean, but he's by himself.
Mm-hmm.
At least if someone was with you, they could hop back and spin around and pick you up.
2005, Piper PA-23. 3 people on board of a Piper PA-23 aircraft vanished on June 20th of 2005. I believe this is like a water hopper, a puddle hopper plane is what they call it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What Jimmy Buffett flies down there in Florida.
Gotcha.
They had been in Treasure City, Bahamas, so they were between Treasure City, Bahamas, and FT Pierce, Florida, when the plane disappeared. The 2 controllers failed to notify the pilot of precision within their route. It's believed that the pilots flew into a severe thunderstorm, lost control of the aircraft, and crashed somewhere in the ocean.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, 2008, Dominican Republican flight. The plane carrying 11 passengers set off from the Dominican Republic to MYG in the Bahamas. So that's an airport.
Oh, okay.
December 15, 2008. An hour into the flight, the pilot radioed the trunks in Cisco Islands control towers, and they had an emergency. The story sounds familiar. The plane had problems and ended up crashing into the ocean. However, an unofficial report claims the plane took off from the Dominican airport and was ascended for 35 minutes and simply disappeared from radar.
That's weird.
So there's a lot of, the official report is saying they crashed in the ocean and we just never found them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories around the airport and everything like that saying that, no, they just disappeared. They were radioing us, they were having engine problems, and they just vanished.
Man, it's almost like, I'm sure you're going to get to it at the end or talk about it, but electronic anomalies are, going on with a lot of these. Just, I don't know. It's just weird. The thing that's getting the weirdest about it is disappearing on radar. That's just, and then communications when you're in the middle of it and it just ceases.
I do have the one that I was talking about earlier.
Okay, that's sweet. You want to go to it?
That's our next one.
Okay, yeah, let's hear it.
I couldn't remember if I took it out or not. 2015, 19-foot fishing vessel. 2 teenage boys, Austin and Perry, set out from July 2015 for a fun fishing trip to the Bahamas. They left Jupiter, Florida. So I was there.
Jupiter.
We were there.
Yeah.
When this happened.
Oh.
That's why this one's upsetting. I guess a little more upsetting.
More personal.
We seen them flying. We were shark fishing at night on the beaches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We see them flying all night out in the ocean. Hundreds of helicopters looking for these people. Private, public.
Wow.
Because these are, they were left before, just before their disappearance. The teenagers posted a 2-word Snapchat message that they were in trouble. The largest U.S. Coast Guard search ensued that spanned 1,500 square miles, or nautical square miles. Their capsized boat was found 8 months later, 100 miles off the Bermuda coast. There are possible sighting of one of the boys 2 days after the disappearance by a pilot, Bobby Smith, and his granddaughter. The pilot spotted a pair of someone laying on the back of what appeared to be a floating debris. The person waved his arms and the pilot circled around. Smith called the Coast Guard, but quickly lost sight of the person. So basically,
so he saw him and then
out. Yeah. So they were discovered. The boat was discovered 8 months later, 100 miles off the coast. So this boat was just sitting in the same water for 8 months, bouncing around with nobody finding it.
that's weird.
Secondly, this guy did see somebody laying on a piece of debris. They were waving arms. He turned around as quickly as possible. He was radioing the whole time, and then he just couldn't find him again.
Couldn't find. Yeah, it's so.
It's the
unfortunate.
ocean. It's the ocean. You know, it's hard to explain that you can just like, even from a plane, from a view,
Right.
You can something could disappear right in front of you.
I mean, if
Tucks behind one set of waves and it's just gone.
Or anything that's underneath them pulls him under the water, you're gone. You're instantly
Or
gone.
it doesn't even have to be that nefarious. Like one wave pushes the piece of debris on into the water for a second.
Right.
The plane's moving pretty fast. Like
Yeah.
they can't go slow.
Right. Yeah. Wait, you can't. They can't put the brakes on and just.
I mean, you can, but you're going to end up with the boy in the water.
Cruise control. At like 5 mile per hour.
So investigators discovered the boat battery was intentionally turned off.
Oh.
Mechanical failure would automatically switch off the battery. Austin's phone was recovered from the boat, but it was too severely damaged to receive any of the information. The boys were never found.
That's so crazy.
So
they disconnected the battery. It sounds like
so the boat automatically disconnected the battery. So that's what the boat
safety feature.
Yeah, it's a safety feature. They automatically unhook the battery in case of electrical emergency.
Okay, so they definitely took on water.
It doesn't even have to be that. It could be any mechanical failure.
Oh, okay.
The boat is trying to not fry. So, like, if stuff's going bad in the electrical harnessing, it doesn't want it to catch fire.
Right.
So it just cuts power to it. Now, I've heard all kinds of things about these boys, saying that they were inexperienced, they shouldn't have been out there, all this stuff. Keep in mind, these been doing it since they were kids. Like, they were doing it with their dad a long time ago. Like, these are very experienced. Even though they're teenagers, they're extremely experienced individuals.
Right.
It makes their disappearance and the way they found their boat and their deaths, presumed deaths, very odd.
Ain't it?
Yeah. The SSL Freno cargo ship, 2015. Perhaps one of the most senseless and tragic Bermuda Triangle disappearances was the sinking of the SSL Freno cargo ship. Okay, we're going to pause real quick. Sorry for that slight interference. We went through some electrical fog.
Oh, yeah. By electrical fog, you mean the neighbor mowing his lawn during recording hour and day. Doesn't he know?
Yeah, I know he's only mowing like right under my window, but he does it to be nice.
What do you mean?
Like he mows like my yard that's on that side of the house.
Oh, he's actually mowing your yard?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Still.
I know he does it to be nice. And I get it because it's already like kind of like on his way to mow.
I know.
It's that little section of yard like I never use. There's a little guard bed over there that I never plant anything in. But it's facing his house. So I always tell him he can do whatever he wants because I don't go over there.
Yeah.
And it's facing his house.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
He's the one looking at it, not you.
But it's only like a foot of yard in between my house and his driveway.
Right, yeah. And he just so happened to be mowing it right as we're recording season 3 finale.
I have very good neighbors.
Yeah, I know.
So it's little bumps, but it's nothing real.
I know. We're just giving him a hard time.
Yeah.
All right. So
both him and his wife are very good scientists.
That's true. It's true.
Me and him had a weird talk yesterday that if anybody else was listening, it'd have been like,
what are these nerds doing back here?
Talking about earwigs. Oh, where was I? SSL Freno cargo ship.
Yeah,
2015.
I think we were probably there.
Perhaps one of the most senseless disappearances and tragic in the Bermuda Triangle's history was the sinking of the SSL Freno cargo ship that departed Jacksonville, Florida, October 1st, 2015, heading for Puerto Rico. The ship's captain and owner made a monstrous mistake to continue sailing after severe tropical storm Jacqueline was quickly turned into a Category 3 hurricane. The ship's weather. Okay, before I read the rest of this, I always thought I had a funny conversation at work a couple months ago about hurricanes and who decides when they're a tropical storm and when they're a hurricane.
Oh, gotcha.
And I made the joke that somebody flies over top of them and like measures them.
Okay.
And that's how they tell. And they thought I was serious.
Oh, okay. Because you fly over top of them. Yeah. Ain't going to go too well, is it?
No. Anyway, so the ship's weather equipment suffered from a 21-hour lag time and failed to provide current and accurate weather conditions. The ship was found a month later, 15,000 feet below the surface. Now the crew's body were ever found, or none of the crew's body were ever found, although the ship's black box was recovered. So that's one of those weird things.
Oh,
like
ships have black boxes too?
Mhm.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Most of the time they end up at the bottom of the ocean, so it's hard to get them back.
Well, yeah. Why didn't they make a black box with a flotation device built in?
Because of where they're put in, like, stuff.
It's drugged down with it.
It wouldn't matter.
Oh, all
Like,
right.
it's like you're inside the ship anyway, so it's just going to float on the ceiling of the ship.
Right, yeah, true. Okay.
Because they normally put them, like, I don't know where they are in ships, but in planes, they're normally in the tail of the plane.
Yeah.
Because that's normally the first piece to break off.
Okay.
So they're most likely to find it.
Okay. Makes sense.
Not like explode and burn.
Right, yeah, that's true. Furthest away from the motor? The big fiery
I'm
part?
assuming they're going to put this somewhere in, like, the helm of a ship. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
And the Bermuda Triangles, we'll talk about that after we get through all these disappearances. The geography of the underwater section of the Bermuda Triangle is very odd.
Okay.
Very odd.
Yeah. So
The house of God.
Okay, yes, enough of that.
I got to sing it one time fully.
I'm sure you will.
So anyways, 2017, a private plane, another Bermuda plane incident happened May 2007 when a Skylight Group founder and CEO, Jennifer Blunin, her 3-year-old and her 4-year-old sons, her boyfriend and pilot, Nathan, vanished. The plane was about 24,000 feet and disappeared off of radar. The Miami Traffic Control lost radio contact. Jennifer was traveling with her children from Puerto Rico to Titsonville, Florida. Sounds like a Florida place. And her private plane, piloted by her boyfriend. They were flying east of Bermuda, the Bermuda archipelagos, when they vanished. The following day, the U.S. Coast Guard discovered a debris field of the missing plane 15 miles east of the islands. No one was on board was found, and the cause of the crash was still undetermined. So that's a really weird one. Like, this one, very rich person.
With her kids and everything. Yeah.
2 very young children may have died in this crash. I mean, we can only assume. We don't have bodies, so it's not 100%. And it disappeared off of radar.
Like many of the others.
And there's a lot of stuff with this radar. There's a lot of common threads.
Right, exactly, yeah.
My last one on this non-comprehensive list is Mako Cuddy cabin vessel. So Mako's a type of ship. It's a Boston Whaler style ship.
Oh, okay.
The disappearance of 20 people on board of a 29-foot Mako Cuddy cabin vessel is shrouded in secrecy. The ship suddenly left Miami on December 28th, 2020, bound for Lake Worth Beach, Florida. This is all the information that was given on the missing vessel and the passengers. The weather was good. There was no communication or distress signal sent. The 20 people were never identified. The purpose of this voyage was also unknown and secret. The secrecy of these details created all types of rumors and speculation around the people operating a drug run operation or a refugee attempting to enter the U.S. illegally. The U.S. Coast Guard searched 17,000 square miles over 84 hours before calling off the search. No wreckage, no debris, and no remains were ever found. Why this one made the list? Because this is not an uncommon thing. What is weird about this is that the amount of secrecy
behind it.
Not one name was listed.
Okay.
Not one, not even the boat captain, not who owned the boat, not what they were doing, not where they were. It was.
And 20 people on board.
20 people. Not one name ever released.
That's. I thought said it again, but that is odd. That's really weird.
You're going to say that a whole lot this episode.
Yeah.
But it's something like that. Also, the rumors. They think, some people saying it's a drug run operation. The U.S. government knew it was a drug run operation. They didn't want to let anybody else know that they knew it was a drug run operation.
Okay.
So, whether they were, some people said the U.S. government was in on the drug run operation, or that they were getting ready to, tighten the net on this.
Yeah.
And they didn't want the rest of the people inside this operation to know about it.
Okay, so keeping it close to the vest.
They didn't want to release any names because they didn't want the cabals or whatever to know that they know them.
This is what's going on. Yeah.
The other side of it is that it was illegal refugees attempting to enter the U.S. Not an uncommon thing in Florida,
right?
Especially this is 2020, but it's been a thing forever.
But still, even in that aspect, if people go missing, I mean. It's not like that big of if it's that, I mean, it's not like the worst thing. Like they wouldn't disclose that information because, oh no, like illegal aliens were about to enter. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that wouldn't be. I like the first idea a lot better because when people go, I don't know, when all this stuff, we got names for everything. The ship, the names of people, everyone that went missing, everyone that's on board. But for a reason not to disclose that, there's definitely a reason behind it. And I like that reason, the first one. Like, all right, we need to keep this information hidden because it's knowledge people aren't supposed to be privy to. So I don't know. I like to lean that way more.
So before we move on to our next little section, we're going to take our intermission now.
Yes.
You ready, Jay?
I am ready.
I'm going to hit this button. I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Oh.
And we're back.
Abrupt stop.
It's like not on the same slider I thought it was on.
I was like cruising in the car, and then you just slammed the brakes, and the good thing I was wearing my seatbelt.
So we just talked about disappearances.
Right, yeah.
The U.S. government has lost a staggering amount of men and women in the Bermuda Triangle.
When you mean the U.S. government, like people that work for the government or just people in the U.S.?
No, U.S. government,
like employees.
Army, Navy, has lost soldiers. Like a lot of them in the Bermuda Triangle. It's weird that it's not talked about. And there's all kinds of Bermuda Triangle documentaries. You know, Flight 19 was Army. Flight 19 was Navy.
Okay. Navies they have ships or airplanes?
Yeah. What do you think? All the Navy destroyers, what do you think's on their back?
Air Force ships? I guess, okay. I just figured they worked in tandem. I guess
no,
not.
No, the branches.
You're right. Yeah, that's stupid. That's stupid. I don't know. I guess always in my head, that's just the Navy's had the ships.
There's Navy. Anyways, yeah.
Okay.
There's Navy planes.
Yeah.
And there's planes.
Wait, actually, like before we even get to just that is pretty astounding. Like that U.S. government's lost a lot of people, but beyond that, a lot of these are very, very recent, and we like as a country, a government, I don't know what you want to say, but aren't really doing anything about this at all.
You may be wrong.
Really?
We'll get there. That's like part 4.
I guess it's just not a public conversation then.
Because it got boring.
I guess.
It happens.
So much that it's boring.
The last 100 years, there has been hundreds of ships disappear in this triangle.
It's
dozens of planes. And even people from shore.
You know, this kind of coincides with our season 1 finale with the Mothman. There were so many UFO sightings, people just
got bored.
Didn't care anymore.
So, like I said, the Bermuda Triangle has been in the spotlight forever. But this Army thing. So, like, like Flight 19, obviously, they lost 14 airmen the first time around. And then they lost another 13 for the search party.
Dang.
That's the first kind of one. But there's been dozens and dozens and dozens of Army personnel, Navy personnel lost in this thing.
Just gone completely missing.
Why we know so much about the Army personnel is because of good record keeping. The private sector may be a lot bigger than originally led on to.
Yeah.
Because pilots, famous, you know, these little planes and stuff like that, may not be reporting. These puddle skips and stuff like that, you know, if they're landing on the water, they're not reporting.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jimmy Buffett, like I've told the story on this podcast, a lot of times we almost got ran over by Jimmy Buffett. May not even been Jimmy Buffett. It was Jimmy Buffett's plane.
Yeah. It was him. Let's just say it was him.
Anyways, so there's tons and tons and tons. I mean, there's tons we're not even going to go into because literally we could do hours and hours and hours. Like literally I'm just going through this list still.
Right, yeah.
I did want to cover this incident on land in the Bahamas, that Bimini Beach.
I was going to say that earlier.
Bimini is what I was trying to say.
Bimini.
I messed up.
Yeah.
Bimini.
Because, I got stuff about that then later, too.
1969, August, Great Isaacs Lighthouse in Bimini, Bahamas. During a hurricane, 2 keepers disappeared and were never found. This, so BuzzFeed actually did a whole episode on this. Like, it's weird. There was some high waves, but nothing extreme for this lighthouse. They could have been inside. They could have been safe. Like, they disappeared from what some people say is inside the lighthouse.
Oh, okay.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
So they were in the lighthouse and then they're just gone? No more record of them?
No more record of them.
Okay. Wiped off the face of the earth.
it's crazy. What were you gonna say about the Bimini Islands?
Well, I was just Bimini's like just north of the Bahamas, I believe, but just east of this coast of southern Florida. It's not that far off, but under the water, that's where they found the Bimini Road. You know,
Bimini Road comes up later.
That's
you go ahead and talk about it. It does come up. I have it.
Okay. If anyone's listening doesn't know what the Bimini Road is, it's underwater. It's like a structure.
Partially underwater.
Oh, some of it's actually is surfaced.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Some of it's on one of the islands.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. But it's basically like a pathway, and some people, modern archaeologists and scientists say it's just a natural phenomenon, but it's really like these blocks placed in like a certain sequence.
Now, to be fair,
yes,
it does. Rocks, some types of rocks do that.
Correct.
They like I can't even think the octagon rocks from like the UK.
Right, I've
literally
seen those.
Are all the same size, like almost like because they're crystalline patterns they form. They look like from the top, they look like they're man-made, but they are not man-made.
But these ones are like brick-shaped.
Now, the Bimini Road, I can't remember the type of stone. It does have a cleavage point that breaks in 90-degree angles almost.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about the Bimini Road. I go back and forth. It's like when we talk about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Like any given day, I may I have a different opinion where it's a natural occurring phenomena, or it is man-made, or it's both.
I guess they could take advantage
of naturally occurring rocks that are breaking in these patterns.
Yeah. I mean, oh yeah, for sure. That could be done.
Yeah, the rock, I can't remember the type of rock, but the rock does have that cleavage point to where it kind of likes to break in boxes.
Either way, it is odd.
So like
just this air, but what they speculate from this road being there though is that when the oceans were a little bit lower
during the last ice age.
Yeah, they're saying like this could have been a spot of like an ancient civilization, like advanced civilization that built this road, and has since been flooded over, by the ocean, by the whole freaking ocean. But that's what they speculate. There could have been civilization or something in this area living here that constructed this. And
a weird thing with the Bimini Road against it being man-made is that divers have recorded off of it, like off this like quote unquote road.
Okay.
There being big chunks of what appears to be the road just by themselves, like naturally occurring rock formations.
But, I mean, could that have been from when the world was flooded and going through some turbulence that some of it just could have got pushed away by currents?
In my opinion, that it would all be, like, destroyed. Like, a big chunks, like, the parts where these roads are... like I said, I don't have a hard opinion on the Bimini Road. I just playing devil's advocate, that there's a lot of evidence that suggests they're natural. There's a lot of evidence that suggests they're not natural. It's really where you want to fall as a person for the Bimini Road.
And anyone listening that's listened to our show from it knows exactly where I fall when it comes to that.
Yeah, and it's I don't necessarily say they're not man-built. It's just one of those weird things that where there is a lot of evidence saying that they're naturally occurring. I'm trying to think. But
it's not.
What's the site off of Japan?
Oh,
that has the Turtle Rock and all that stuff. That's
Omigumilai or something like that.
Yeah, it's 100%. It's 100% natural.
Yeah, that one's
like,
just.
Do you ever see that guy take rocks from it and take them onto land and throw them against the ground?
And they just break in.
They almost always break in 90-degree angles.
Yeah.
And it's like on a point where the ocean has been beating it.
And I was always on the fence on that one too. But like when you look at the structure as a whole, like there's staircases, and quote unquote, but they don't lead to the way that it's constructed. It doesn't seem to be any sort of useful pattern or structure or build that would perform any function that's actually that you use or you live on or something like that. It doesn't seem very functional if it is man-made. That's the one thing that to me was like, okay, there might not be anything like actually like ancient civilization here, but it does fall on that little spot where it's because the coastlines of the world like aren't really studied. Archaeologists don't study what's just beyond the coast, like the coastline underwater, because
we definitely need to, because we just discovered the mammoth kill pits in Lake Michigan.
Right, yeah.
That were way deeper than what people were thinking they were.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's just like one little example.
I know. I'm just saying that's one thing that's just like...
I bet it's an example, like it's a legit example of that you can use. But archaeology just don't study that stuff only because they believe, and it's the narrative, that civilization didn't exist back then when the waters were that low. So there cannot be any human, not human remains, but human what's the word? Like building remains, like construction
archaeological sites and stuff like that.
Just civilization remains, like being there, so they don't even look because there's nothing there. That's what they say, and it's anyone that's seeking truth knows that's not how you go about searching for truth. It's just automatically dismissing things that doesn't fall into your narrative that you basically constructed yourself, and not like individuals, but as a whole. What our institutions and our history books and what we're taught, what is and what isn't, that doesn't fall into their line of narrative. So you don't even look at it. Don't even study it. It's the same thing. Even on land, they don't dig. They only dig so deep, and then okay, anything beyond this, there's no human remain it just doesn't exist there. So you don't even look. If you find anything that deep, oh, it must be some anomaly how it got there. Maybe you planted it there or something. It just doesn't exist. Not the way to go about looking at history or evidence. What's there? I don't know. I'll get off my soapbox.
Do you want a few more disappearing things from my list to really nail the point home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I'm going to give you a couple air, a couple sea, and that's it. And we'll move on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. This list is humongous, by the way, everybody. Then this is just literally the famous ones.
Is this more like military stuff?
I have a couple military, I have a couple private. Whatever you want.
Okay.
Whatever you want, baby girl, I'll give you.
Oh.
1965, June 9th. The AUSAF C-19 flying boxcar of the 440th Troop Carrier Wing went missing between Florida and Trunk Island. We're going to talk about Trunk Island a lot in these episodes.
Okay.
Just because it's one of the famous Bermuda Islands.
Oh, okay.
The last call from the plane came from a point just north of Crooked Island, Bahamas, and 177 miles of Grand Trunk Island. On July 18th, 1965, debris from the plane was found on the beach of Golden Rock Clay, just off the northwestern shore of Ankins Island. So yeah, this giant boxcar plane just disappeared, crashed, destroyed. But it was being recorded normally. They were talking back and forth normally. Nothing weird had happened.
Okay.
Keep in mind, this is a military plane.
Right, yeah. I think those are more important. I mean, as far as...
driving the point home, yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to see. Turkish airline, February 23rd of 2017, flight TK-183 on the Airbus A-13 was forced to change its direction from Havana, Cuba, to Wallington Dulles Airport after some mechanical and electrical problems occurred over the triangle. Nobody's been able to explain this feat, so they landed safely. So with modern technology, we seem to be getting better and better at defeating the triangle.
What?
Defeating the triangle.
Oh, defeating. I thought you said "and feeding."
No, that was old stuff.
Yeah.
Like when they had one altimeter on the plane and it just went wrong and they just drove into the ocean.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
No, so this plane, literally this giant Turkish airline, had problems over the triangle.
Okay.
That when they landed, nobody could explain.
Okay.
And then it went back to being fine.
Oh, okay. So it's just like weird anomalies and then it was over.
Yeah.
But they didn't go missing?
No.
Okay.
1824. Now this is some more incidents at sea. USS Wildcat on course to Cuba to Tompkins Island. Lost 14 people on board. Lost in a gale with 31 on board. So, yeah, so it's crazy. Like, it's just a real old one, simple one. Like, this ship just disappeared.
Right, yeah.
Rosaline, 1940, Rosaline found abandoned, which is a ship.
Okay.
She was found derelict. So it just means floating at sea with nobody
on it, yep.
1840.
That was this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of those. That's a whole episode.
Now, is this falling? Would that ship then be a ghost ship or a phantom ship?
That's a ghost.
What?
The ghost ship being a derelict ship.
Oh, okay. So
Ghost.
that's what that means?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay.
The USS Portrius AC-9 lost with all 59. This is 1941. Lost with all 58 persons on board in heavy seas, having departed by St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands with a cargo of bayonets on November 23rd. The following month, its sister ship, the USS Nereus, was lost with all 61 persons on board, also having departed from the same island with the same cargo on December 10th. According to research near Rear Admiral George V. Doris, USN, who was familiar with the type of ship and the service of the USN, the acidic coal cargo would seriously erode the long-term support beams, making the aging and poor construction colliding with extremely variable and breaking heavy seas. Both sister ships to the USS Cyclops.
That sounds cool.
That's it's a really famous like big ship.
Okay.
So he was saying that it must have been the coal refined stuff. They were hard, like ate a hole in the ship and they both sank. And they all disappeared.
Just disappeared. Okay.
The Revenek, a 43-foot racing yacht, was lost with owner Harvard Culver and 4 others on board between Key West and Miami in a hurricane. The only trace was found was a 14-foot skiff from the yacht near Jupiter, Florida.
Okay.
How many more you want?
I mean, we definitely have
I have like
swapped.
50.
Yeah.
I could keep going for another hour and a half.
Okay, well, I mean, that's pretty good for right now. I mean, basically what we've already hammered home is whether private, military, if anything going in this area, obviously goes missing or the people go missing. That's kind of one thing that stood out to me between all of these is some of them, they actually found the bodies still on the ships, but everyone was just dead on it. Or they found the ships and everybody's just completely gone, disappeared. 2 very different outcomes. And then the third one is just the ship or plane is just plane. I don't think they ever found a plane with people still on it or anything like that. But with the ships just in particular, they go just completely missing. But I think it is weird how some of them have people still on them, but they're dead.
That's more rare than not. Like that's really rare.
It's very weird. And then I think it's also very weird that the ships just are there, but nobody's on it. Like, is it safer to abandon ship? Do they have lifeboats or something? I would
knock them off.
Or the wind knock them. I don't know. Or do you think the wind pushed the people off? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I guess perhaps if they're in the middle of a hurricane. But then the ship would probably be gone too. I don't think the ship would last. I don't think, unless it's a big freighter, but even then, might be vulnerable to a hurricane.
Yeah, Bermuda's out like in the middle of the ocean, like straight out from Georgia. Mm-hmm. It's just weird to me. I always thought it was like really south.
I know, it just feels like it, right?
So Puerto Rico, Florida, and Bermuda. Let's talk about some geology before we get into the spooky stuff.
Okay.
That'll be next episode. Is the spooky, scary skeletons living at the bottom of the sea. They would come up.
Oh, gosh.
Scooby-Doo also comes up like 82 times.
Oh, good.
It's Scooby-Doo. They predict everything. It's like The Simpsons for the paranormal.
Maybe you're onto something.
It's not onto something. It is how it is.
Yeah, I know, but no one's ever brought that to the public sphere, I don't think.
We've all known it.
But no one said it.
I just said it.
I know.
There you go. I came up with the idea then.
Good.
No, so unique geology of the ocean floor. So Florida and Puerto Rico are kind of on the same shelf, the shallow water shelf. And it's not shallow water. You know, it can be up to several hundred feet deep.
But shallow in terms of it's
the
not
ocean.
It's not where the Titanic is laying.
Now, just east of that shelf, it drops off significantly to like up to 15, 16, 17,000 feet.
Oh, so that is like where the Titanic...
It does not get shallow again till like right at Bermuda.
Okay. So it's just a big trench.
Yeah, it's like a gigantic oceanic trench.
Yeah, okay.
So when we get into some of the really weird, maybe proposed weather phenomena, that may be something to do with it. Now keep in mind, like the jet stream runs in between the Bermuda and the coast.
Okay.
So there's a lot of churning water there.
Yeah, actually, I just got an idea, but...
Save it. Like, really save it.
Let me write this down, because something just popped in my head, and I think it might actually have something to it. But, okay, go on.
No, so this is just, like, the tectonic plates that are out there. It's the Mid-Atlantic Ridge is, like, it's way, way out there.
Okay.
But some people think that that may be affecting the triangle itself, is the giant plate tectonic activity that's way out there. Now, this is not, like, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge is not nearly as famous as, like, the Ring of Fire in the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
But it could be causing some of these anomalies. Like later on, we'll talk about giant standing waves. We'll talk about clapping waves and stuff like that.
Okay.
Which could like eat a plane. It would literally look like the ocean is eating a plane.
What do you mean clapping? Like the waves come together?
We'll explain it. Like we'll get there.
Okay.
It's a whole, like there's a lot of weird phenomena.
Okay.
that is proposed by this unique geology of the area.
Okay.
But it also can explain why a lot of the stuff isn't found.
Gotcha.
So unlike when stuff goes missing close to the coast of both Puerto Rico and Florida, it would only end up in several hundred feet of water and may be more easily found. Land is much more relevant. Like there's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of little islands in between Florida and Puerto Rico.
Well, here's an idea though. If they want to recover, that deep area, why don't we get a few more billionaires to build a vessel that can go deep under the water and
Very topical.
send them down there and see if they can recover some of these missing ships. Maybe there's something down there that can solve this anomaly. If you know a billion out there that needs to go on a little trip, how about you propose this idea to them?
So anyways, Bermuda, like it doesn't get re-shallow again till then. So there's a lot of space like in between that people are flying.
Okay.
That there's an active area of the ocean.
Right.
But there's a lot of space of super deep water off the shelf that stuff when it goes down is just gone.
Right.
We're talking stuff deeper than the Titanic.
Exactly, yeah.
So when it's gone, it's gone.
It's
You know,
gone.
Titanic, we kind of knew where it went down.
Right.
Like this is stuff that may be bigger than Titanic, like those cargo ships we talked about. But they're in a lot bigger area in a lot deeper water.
A lot deeper, yeah. I mean, I don't know what you'd even need to go down there besides like one of those.
Another thing is why we don't maybe not find people is like I said, between Puerto Rico and Florida, there's a lot of islands.
Right.
It's, there's shallow water currents. There's people like buzzing with activity. Between Florida and Bermuda and Puerto Rico and Bermuda, it's just open ocean.
Yeah.
There's a few little island chains here and there, but it's like finding a quarter on the U.S. continent.
A needle in a haystack.
Yeah. It's just not going to happen.
And it is like getting out in that ocean, like on a little boat, even it's scary. And when you're out, as scary as in the sense of you look around your whole perimeter and you just see what's that, your horizon all the way 360 around you, and you're floating on this little ship. That's the only thing you got keeping you alive. It's a little overwhelming if you stop and think about it. Just keep fishing. Don't even think about it. Just keep fishing.
So if you look at the Bermuda Island itself, most of the Bermuda Island is underwater, just barely.
Oh, okay.
And like the actual,
So there's a lot of landmass.
no, it's tiny.
I mean, underwater.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
The island itself is really tiny. So if you look at it, I know I can't show everybody at home, but that little red area is the actual island.
Gotcha.
The rest of it's just ground that's barely underneath.
So like,
And then it instantly drops to like 4 to 5 kilometers.
so I'm sure at some point in time, like there was a lot more of that island that was above water, I would say.
Yeah. So a point to the next section of this fun season finale would point to what kind of habitat is proposed by mysterious creatures in this area.
Living in these deep trenches.
So right off the gate, you go from these very shallow water environments where large animals have a lot of trouble moving to instantly giant deep water, like monstrous water depth. Could animals, specifically these gigantic cryptids, be causing these disappearances?
You cannot rule it out. No, you can rule it out on the airplane ones. I'll say that.
Can you?
I would. Unless you got spinning sharks flying up out of the water.
Spinner sharks.
Spinner sharks jumping up, grabbing the giant ones.
What about giant tentacles?
Still.
What if I told you that's been seen?
Giant tentacles
Grabbing planes.
in the Bermuda. No, it hasn't been seen.
You guys will have to wait until the next episode to find out.
Ooh.
When we come back for the next installment of Bermuda Triangle, we're starting in with Beast of Bermuda. Bum, bum, bum.
Oh.
What?
I don't know. You kept saying but like B words. I thought you were going to say bye.
Oh, no. So I have been the great and powerful mystery.
And I've been J Clone 42.
I think it was 72, but
I don't remember.
we'll get there.
That's divisible by 7.
Hopefully this is a good interlude to just some of the weirdness of the Bermuda Triangle. And I think this is going to be a 4-parter by the end of it.
Probably.
So hang in there. Next episode, getting right into it with monsters.
All right.
Monsters, myths, and mayhem.
All right.
I have been the great and powerful mystery.
And I've been Jay.
I know we just did that, but
Yes.
I felt like we had to do it again. Thank you guys for your support.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Crypts of the Corn podcast.
Please share with a friend you think would like us. It's the best way to help our show grow.
Leave a comment, rate us, a 5-star review, And remember, there's always extra content on Patreon/CryptidsOfTheCorn.com.
And don't forget, stay magical.